Hey peeps, it's Tripl-L and now it's time to talk Fairy Tail chapter 518. This is a late upload. Time was of the essence and this is the soonest that I could get to this chapter. My apologies. It's coming up with all the other chapters that come out on Thursdays. But anyway, let's just talk about the chapter. It is a pretty normal Erza chapter. Regardless, I found it pretty entertaining. I found it pretty enjoyable. The one segment that I think I really enjoyed was when Erza got slapped by the dragon and she commented that her bones shattered. It's just because the dragons are this really powerful force, so anytime that you get to see or hear about what they can do to a human, it's just interesting. I just find it interesting. It's just the standard of, yeah, dragons are freaking terrifying, because we have Acnologia, but Acnologia is terrifying among dragons himself. So seeing that, I'm pretty happy. Anyway, Erza. So this chapter was some good characterization. Before I continue, I remembered, Angry Anime Fan, in case you're watching, I think I do ultimately agree with you, especially after this chapter, because in this chapter we get more characterization on Eileen's, I guess, dislike of Erza, and she just talks a bit more about it. And now it's just the way it's framing, it's kind of changing my mind on what I initially thought about Eileen. But I still hold out on what I initially thought about Eileen, but at this point, it's whatever. Eileen is painting a picture that she does not like what Erza represents in her life, that Erza represents her failure or her false hope or her misguided hope. And in this chapter, Erza said something pretty interesting when she was talking about her past, about how she also suffered. I thought that was just a very nice way of drawing parallels, or at least telling Eileen that not everything was good for herself. But I do like that Erza still remains humble. Like, all throughout this chapter, that's one thing that Erza's kind of stayed there. She's staying humble. She's talking about, like, yeah, she might have suffered at the hands of a slave camp, but hey, you know what? 400 years, she probably still terrible. Or even at the end where she's talking about if her mom's the queen of dragons, then it's probably okay for her to be the queen of fairies. And overall, this level of humbleness and humility coming from Erza is just very interesting, and I think it does ultimately paint, it makes Erza seem way more saintly in comparison, because you have one character who's just totally angry and just hating the world and really going at the other person with just the most anger in her heart. But then you have Erza, who's just taking it at point blank and just saying, like, yeah, whatever, yeah, I understand. You had a pretty sucky life, but thank you, because of you, I'm here. It's ultimately a very mature character response. Like, Erza's being really level-headed about all this. So anyway, once Eileen goes full dragon, which was cool to see, and then, seeing her bring down a meteor a la Pain style or Madara style, I thought, wow, that's pretty interesting. And then Erza realizes her right hand is still not shattered, which makes sense because she got hit on the left side, so that was pretty reasonable. She puts on a glove, and I missed this on the first read too, but she puts on a glove and she propels herself up towards the meteor. Now, interestingly, I'm pretty sure that in real world logic, in real world physics, Erza needs to be able to break the sound barrier. Like, Erza reaching that meteor as fast as she did is breaking the sound barrier. Now, mind you, because this is a world of magic, we can't apply physics to it. But regardless, Erza launches herself up with that glove. Actually, I'm looking at the page now. Like, she's switching, the glove switches between panels. That might be a drawing error. Oh no, you know what? No, actually, no, it's not. It's actually Hiro being a good artist. He was switching it around so that she could do her X-Whip. Anyway, not the point. The point is, she launches herself up with magic and she decides to go in full on with her regular katana. And that's going to be interesting. I would love to see what a meteor does to Erza. I mean, she's going at it with a regular sword, but most likely she's going to cut it apart. I wonder to what level her magic is. Like, look, when you have this kind of scenario happening, how is Erza not stronger than Natsu? Like, she has to be stronger. Like, Natsu could probably eat the fire that's around that meteor, but Erza's about to cut it with a regular sword, most likely just covered in her magic potential. The narrative needs to paint Erza as being, it needs to paint Natsu as being the strongest character, and sometimes Erza does kind of just, I guess, default to him during the final boss fight. But when you see these kind of things, it's like Erza should be able to deal with the same level of threat that Natsu has been able to deal with. It would have been interesting to see if the whole protagonist status didn't come into play. I'm not really sure what I'm trying to say with this part. I think it's just, I remember all the times in Fairy Tail that Erza just kind of gave up to Natsu to let Natsu deal with things, when she is clearly as capable, except for when the story doesn't need her to be as capable. Anyway, to sum this chapter up, this chapter is all about Eileen turns into a dragon. Erza is a really humble and powerful character. Erza doesn't give up, dragons can shatter bones, and now Erza is going to destroy a meteor. That's pretty much the chapter, yeah. And the chapter ends off with Eileen in awe of what Erza is. Like, what could Erza be? And you know what? Erza's just Erza. Anyway, I am actually really interested in seeing how she deals with that giant meteor. Because when you look at the size of the meteor itself, there is no way that just cutting it in half is going to help anything. Because Erza's a speck compared to it. Even if she were to cut it in half, the meteor is still going to land on a lot of people. Like, even looking at the peak of the meteor, that's about, let me try and count this up. It seems to be like 12 Erza wide at the peak, but is that even a big meteor now that I'm thinking about it? You know, we'll have to see how this gets handled in the next chapter. Physics is not going to help us in this. You know, it'd be cool if Erza like cut it in half and then kicked away both parts of the meteor to different sides. That'd be epic. But anyway, guys, let me know what you thought of the chapter. Let me know what you think's gonna happen next time. And yeah, apologies for the late delay again, but it happens. So till next time, I hope you have a great day. I like this chapter.